Okay, what's going on, everybody? This is Netrunner, aka Shamar. I gotta say it that way just for you, Joe. Here with the GenCon tournament report. I know we haven't made any videos in a while. I think my last post was about a month ago, and that's because I've been very busy, not only with GenCon preparations and things like that, but I've been traveling a lot this summer, and so I'm excited to finally be back and have time to start putting up content. So our agenda for today, we've got five things on the list. Number one, we're going to be going through a couple thank yous. Number two, just a little bit of a Gen Con fun slash news report, a little bit on like what I did and the things that I saw while I was there. Three will be my Netrunner North American Championship report. For my Thrones North American Championship report. And then for the last thing on the agenda, we're just going to be doing a little contest for you guys to pick up some cool swag, some extra stuff that I got from this year's Gen Con. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. Those of you listening to the podcast of this, I'll figure out a way for you guys to get yourselves into the contest as well. So don't you worry about that if you're interested in getting a little bit of cool swag. So number one, the thank yous. This year's Gen Con was my fourth, and it was very interesting for me because I think out of the four that I've been to, this is definitely the one where I've received the most, I guess, recognition in terms of people coming up to me and just saying, thank you for the content that you've been making. I love your videos, your podcasts, whatever have you. So it was awesome to meet all of you guys. I met a ton of people, and I'm terrible with names, but one that I obviously won't forget is meeting Joe from Cincinnati. You guys obviously probably know Joe if you've been following my videos for a while. Night's Watch Joe. He was a really cool guy. It was super exciting to finally meet him in person. Before then, we'd only talked through Skype and played games of Thrones via Skype as well. So I was really excited to actually have the chance to meet him, and I know Rob felt the same way as well, among other people who were kind of starstruck when they saw Joe. So yeah, it was really cool to, again, have all those people saying thank you. I even had one of FFG's judges come up to me and say, thank you for your content. I love your videos, blah, blah, blah. So it's just a really cool experience when that happens. Not only that, but I had a guy sitting down beside me during Thrones who told me like, hey man, like I'm playing your deck right now type of thing. And I mean, that's always awesome to see. So shout out to everyone from the bottom of my heart, man. It means a lot to run into you guys and be able to finally meet a lot of you in person, especially because I know a lot of, or most of the people that watch my videos are American, and me being in Canada doesn't really give me too many opportunities to see you guys. So massive thank you to all of you for that. Moving on, for the Gen Con fun. This year's Gen Con, I was a lot more busy doing tournaments than I would have liked to have been. Usually I play in one tournament and then I spend the rest of the time, in the exhibit hall, demoing games, playing games, or whatever have you. This year, because I played in both Thrones and Netrunner and ended up making the cut, that did take up a lot of my time. But despite that, I was able to do a lot of running around in between rounds and during lunch breaks and things like that, and see a lot of stuff at the con. I picked up Mansions of Madness. I picked up Star Wars Rebellion. I got to play test Star Wars Destiny. I only got to play it once, but I did get both promos. So I'm looking forward to that in the future when that drops. For those of you who don't know, it's the new CCG that FFG is launching. I got to see Arkham Horror, the card game in action, among many other things. Most importantly though, and the way that this happened was pretty hilarious. I was going back to my car to drop off Mansions and drop off Rebellion, pick up my Thrones deck so that I could play with Joe and my friend Kenny as well. And on the way back, I ran into Rob St. John from Rob's Gaming Table and his wife, and they were looking desperately for someone to join them in a Game of Thrones draft. So I thought it was draft 1.0. It was actually draft 2.0, which you can see here. So this is one of the draft starters that we got, and this is the front card of the draft pack. And so I didn't know that draft existed. I guess none of us really did know that they had draft ready. So it was kind of a surprise to be able to do that on Saturday night, last minute. It's probably like one of the most fun 4 hours that I had, or 3 hours, whatever it was, that I had over the weekend. Just going over the cards, seeing all the new stuff, and then having our own draft pod of, it was 8 of us, of just me and my friends. So we had like me, Rob, his wife, Kevin, who was from the Hamilton meta, the other Kevin from LA, who always places very high in Game of Thrones. We had Philippe from Montreal. Like it was awesome to be able to draft with our buddy. So I'm actually going to be showing you guys a couple cards from that. I know a bunch of them got spoiled right after the con, or right after we drafted, because one of the guys that we were drafting with, I can't remember his name, I'm really sorry, he was actually the one taking the pictures of the cards and uploading the spoilers for you guys. So I'm going to go over some of the stuff that maybe he didn't catch, and just give a little bit of an explanation on how the 2.0 draft works. So as you can tell by the fact that you did not see my face holding up a trophy, I did not win the Game of Thrones North American Championship. However, I did manage to claim a throne, as you can see right here. I could not pass up this opportunity. It was late at the con. Everyone had pretty much cleared out, or a lot of people had. And if you're not familiar with with GenCon, every year they have this massive balloon sculpture, and I think it's like an auction for who gets to slay the beast at the end of GenCon. So just pop all the balloons. So this was like the half finished or 3/4 finished product. So we've got the Iron Throne made out of balloons and a sweet dragon at the back. I'm terrible with remembering the names of the Targ dragons. I assume that's Drogon, the black one. I think it's, or maybe Balerion the black. Who knows? Whatever. It's a freaking dragon, and I was able to claim the throne for myself and get a picture to prove it. Oh yeah, and also shout out to Brian Sorensen from Rob's Meta as well for these awesome The North Remember shirts that I'm wearing right now. He designed it and got the shirts printed out, and most of us from the Hamilton / Toronto meta wore that as we went down to try to claim the North American Championship. So moving on, we've got my Netrunner report. So Netrunner, I did well again. I don't know how that keeps happening. A lot of my Netrunner viewers will know that, or have noticed that I haven't really put too much Netrunner content up since Thrones 2.0 dropped, and as a reflection of that, I haven't really played as much Netrunner as I used to in the past. So I wasn't really expecting to do too well this year at the North American Championship. I brought an Apocalypse version of Kate that was built by my buddy Sung Ho in Toronto, and I brought a Engineering the Future out of HB Glacier style using Sandberg, and I guess maybe it caught people by surprise. I ended up going like, I think it was it 6 rounds of Swiss, so I went like 9-3. Made it to day 2 of Netrunner, and then I tanked in day 2 so hard. I got some terrible matchups. I played against like 2 Cerebral Imaging decks back to back, the combo deck that wins in 1 turn, and I wasn't familiar with beating that deck, or the fact that that deck really existed in the meta anymore. So it was really tough matchups for me. I went 0-2 my first game of day 2, 0-2 my second game of day 2, and then I went 1-1 in my third game. I didn't even check my standing at the end. I was probably like 40 something, but I guess that's still pretty good considering. So yeah, there's not really much to say about that, other than I guess I'm still decent at Netrunner. Moving on to the Game of Thrones report. Thrones was it started well. I did end up going 3-3, so I didn't have a losing record. Of those 3 losses, I'm only really upset about one of them. I played against Carter from the Hamilton meta, and you guys might know him from his A Game of Rubik's channel. And in that game with Carter, I felt like I had the game locked up, and he was able to bring it back with his Martel, slow the pace down, and then drip through the win. So that was the one game that bothered me, because I thought that, you know, I definitely had a good shot at winning that game, and I probably should have won it, but I just didn't have enough at the end to pull it out. So My first game I played against Lannister Crossing. He had amazing, amazing early intrigue pulls. He pulled Risen from the Sea out of my hand, and then he tears Balin. And then turn 2, he put Euron to the sword. So I started off 0-1. It was brutal. Game 2 was against the Lannister Kraken. He set up Tywin and reducers to my duped Asha, a King's Road, and a Salty Navigator. I summoned Euron, played him duped, and I ended up stealing 2 Iron Mines from him with Euron, and then top decked the Balin. I won on turn 3 because I went back to playing Rise of the Kraken. So it was a turn 3 victory. Game 3 was the one against Carter that I just explained. So I was 1-2 for a second. Round 4, I played against the Lannister's son. He mulliganed, and it was a brutal mulligan, just a bunch of chuds. I played Drowned Men and 2 chuds. I found Balin and Euron like pretty much immediately and got them on the table. I first snowed turn 3, wiped his board because he didn't really have much out there, and then it was a turn 4 Kraken for the win. Round 5 was Bear Kraken. It was kind of scary at the beginning. I had a duped Euron and Iron Mines with a Rose Road. That's all I set up, and I totally thought that he was going to just body me with a March to the Wall. Fortunately, he wasn't playing that, and I was able to dodge a turn 1 Heads on Spikes. That's what he played instead. It hit Aaron Dampere, and I really didn't care because I still had Balin in my hand. I milked Mel, and basically just killed everybody else that existed on the board with Seastone Chair, and and then dropped another Rise of the Kraken and ended that game. It was like turn 4 or 5, I can't remember. Very, very quick game. And then finally I played against a Stark Fealty, and for those of you who are familiar, 4 and 2s made it to day 2 of the tournament because it was a graduated cut. So I knew that this one I needed to win. Like, I absolutely needed to win this game. I looked at my first hand. It was brutal. I could only set up 1 card. So I mulliganed. I took my mulligan, and that hand was even worse. The only card that I could set up was Balin. So I set up Balin by himself. I had the dupe in my hand, but I figured if I'm playing against Stark Fealty, there's a high chance that they're going to be playing March to the Wall. So I set up just the 1 copy of Balin, thinking that, if anything, I could noble cause out the second Balin after he marches him. He didn't march him because he ended up finding 3 copies of Ice, and I brought the game back. I did really, really well to bring the game back. At one point, it was pretty close because we do not sowed his Winterfell, and I was trying to get Euron out so that I could steal Winterfell and avoid those ices. But unfortunately, he did manage to take the upper hand. He had Blackfish with 1,000,000 power on him, and so he just threw ice on the Blackfish and kill pretty much everybody on my board. So my board ended up pretty damn clean. I think I had like 1 character left by the end of the game. It was like a Salty Navigator because he didn't care about him. So I ended up going 3-3. Didn't make the cut, obviously. Kind of upset because I was really looking forward to getting that Night's Watch spot glossed card. But I guess I got another chance in draft. Lost again. Still didn't get the Night's Watch card, but we've still got Canadian Nationals, so there's a good chance that I will be able to finally get that card, the spot gloss. So moving on to the Game of Thrones draft. Like I said, this is what the draft pack looks like. And so the way draft works, for those of you players who maybe didn't do draft 1.0 or never played Magic or anything like that to do a draft, the way that FFG works it out is they give you this draft pack. So you buy these. They're like $5 or I think $4.99 US. So whatever that is in Canada, it's like $6.2 million Canadian. So you buy the draft starter pack, and these ones are reusable. So when you're done, you pretty much just take the starter cards out, and then if you ever do a future draft, you just need to buy the actual draft pack box, which has this cover on it, and it comes with 50 cards in it, so it's very easy to tell the difference between the two. So once you do that, and you open up your draft starter, what it has in it is a house card for every house. They're double-sided because it is draft. Draft has different rules. well, not different rules, but agendas that help you, because obviously you're not gonna be able to draft just one house. You're gonna have combinations of a bunch of cards, so they double side them because chances are you're not gonna know what the hell you're gonna end up playing. It's all pretty much based on the draft. Next, they give you these agendas here, and I'll get my camera up so that you guys can see them. Oops, sorry. Here it is. So next they give you agendas. So for example, we've got this agenda here called Treaty. When you announce Treaty as your agenda, name 2 factions or 2 houses, whatever. You may include cards from those factions in your draw deck and plot deck. Action. Kneel your faction card to draw 1 card, then choose and discard 1 card from your hand. So that's an example of an agenda that you would play right here. Let's see if I can get that down a little bit. And as you can see, it says draft format only, so you'll never see this come out in a Game of Thrones pack. The second agenda is called Uniting the 7 Kingdoms. You may include cards from any faction in your draw deck. Increase the cost of each out of faction card you marshal or play by 1. So again, if your draft goes horribly wrong and you end up getting cards from like every faction, you don't have enough to really focus on 2 factions or 1 faction, then you play this. It kind of sucks because anything that's outside of the house that you play as your house in the draft is going to cost you +1. So that's 2 of the 4 agendas. Next, we've got Protectors of the Realm. You may include knight and army characters from any faction in your deck. Action, kneel your faction card to choose a knight or army character. Until the end of the phase, that character gains renown, which is pretty damn strong. Philippe, I believe, made good use of this card if you're going to play a rush style. And then the last agenda is the Power of Wealth. When you announce the Power of Wealth as your agenda, name 1 faction. You may include cards from that faction in your draw deck and plot deck. Reduce the cost of the first in-faction card you marshal or play each round by 1. So this is the one that I used for the draft because I did manage to get a lot of Night to Watch cards. If you do figure out a way to draft, a deck of 40 cards of 1 faction, you might as well play this because you get that -1 reduction. So again, that's one of the rules in draft is your deck size is only going to be 40 cards versus 60, and your plot deck is only going to be 5 cards instead of 7. So in the draft starter, you get the houses, you get those treaties, those agendas, and then you get 5 plots. So the 5 plots that you get are: 1 is Filthy Accusations, 2 Summoned by the Conclave, which is draft format only, and Summoned by the Conclave says, and it's probably going to be a little bit more difficult for you guys to read this one: search the top 10 cards of your deck for an in-faction card, reveal it and add it to your hand, shuffle your deck. So it's kind of like summons, but only for in-faction cards. You get a copy of Feast for Crows, so win dominance, get 2 power. The Pale Mare is also draft format only, and I tried to abuse this card to work with the Sisters, who get +1 for every dead character in your dead pile. When revealed, each player chooses any number of characters he or she controls with total printed cost 10 or lower. Kill each character not chosen, cannot be saved, and again, that's draft format only. I wish this card would come out in the actual game because it was really, really fun to play. Unfortunately, I couldn't find anything else to follow up, like a Wildfire or anything like that. And then the last spot that they give you is Feast or Famine, which again is draft only, and that one says it's summer and winter. When revealed, you may increase the gold value on Feast or Famine by 5. If you do, reduce the claim value on Feast or Famine by 2. So as you can see, econ is very important in draft. So they give you these cards like this to help your economy. I mostly went for keeping the 2 and trying to get the 2 claim. Didn't really work out for me too much. So there's those 5, and then while you're drafting, plots also pop up in the draft packs. So you'll see like things like Valar and I don't know, other plots that aren't draft only. It's mostly plots that you see in the core set / in the cycles. So keep that in mind when you're drafting. And then you also get a list of every card that comes in your draft starter pack, which I think I misplaced. So I'll just quickly, nope, here it is. So in every draft starter, you get This list of cards here, probably too small for you guys to read it. So we went over the House Baratheon, House Greyjoy card, Lannister, Martell cards, all the house cards, whatever. We did the agendas as well, and the plots. In terms of econ, you get 3 Rose Roads, 3 Kings Roads. You get 2 House Bannermans, 1 Wildling Scout, 1 Rattleshirts Raiders, and that is it. So if you look at the cards here, the difference between these ones and the ones that you have in your core set is that they have this little draft symbol here, which is hard to see on the camera, but it's actually yellow, so it's very easy to spot. And then if it's part of your draft starter, it has an S beside the number, so that you can quickly go through your draft deck at the end, pull out all the starter cards, and then go do another draft immediately after, or 10 days later, or whatever have you, without needing to go buy another draft starter. So they give you the basics that you need to make sure you have a decent amount of economy in order to be able to actually play your characters. So that's that. Now moving on to some of the interesting cards that we saw, because we do know that this draft set includes sprinkles of every card that is currently in the game. So you'll get core set cards while you're drafting, you'll find cards from the first cycle, and you'll find cards from the new cycle. So what I did was I just took about 4 or 5 interesting cards that I found during my draft from this new cycle that I'm quickly going to show you guys on camera, just to give you an idea of some of the new stuff, and then we'll get right into our contest at the end. So the one card that I was just talking about a while ago that I was trying to take advantage of in my draft was the Silent Sisters. So they're cost 3 intrigue and power icon, ally trait 1 strength. Silent Sisters gets +1 strength for each character in your dead pile. So I was killing characters like crazy on my side of the board, and then I would try to give them military and stealth with Sirio, and then go in and body on my opponent for a put to the sword. Never really happened. I got them up to 12 strength though, which was pretty sweet, and made it very difficult for my opponent when they were trying to do their math and figure out how the hell to win. But I still ended up going 1 and 2 in the draft, so it kind of sucked. But a very good card. Looking forward to this in the actual Thrones game. I think that a lot of factions can make use of this card. Next, we've got the Devout Freerider, which is another card I'm excited about for all the people that really hate Lannister and think that Tywin and Tyrion and all those guys are broken. Here's a card for you. So 3 cost, a military icon, a power icon, and 3 strength. It's also an ally, which is unfortunate because we know that there's going to be a lot of ally hate very soon. During the challenges phase, each player cannot gain gold. So if you're playing Tyrion, you're not going to get gold for the intrigue challenge, but at least their Tyrion won't either. If you're somebody like me who never plays Lannister, then this is a fantastic card. You keep your gold moving into the challenges phase, and you're not worried about if you do an intrigue and they do an intrigue, how they're going to get the hound out and try to like beat your ass with them. So another good card, and apologies again for moving so quickly. Now this is my MVP of the draft so far. I did see the new Balin, and the new Balin to me is meh. Victarion Greyjoy, same art from 1.0. So hot. 6 cost, military icon, power icon, and 5 strength. He is a captain. He is Ironborn, so Aaron Dampere can save him. And he's also a lord, so you can noble cause him. Now, he has Intimidate, and he has Renown, and he has this interesting interrupt here. 1 Victarion Greyjoy would be killed. Discard 2 power from him to save him. Okay, so it's a pretty interesting mechanic, I think. How often will you give up your Renown power on him just to save him from dying? I don't know if you'll do it too often, because I feel like a lot of the times, you want to push for that win because you're rushing out of Greyjoy. However, that just adds more save to them. So now you're Miri proof, you're put to the sword and Tears of Least proof. You got the Iron Mines, you got the Risen from the Seas. And this is another good target for Risen, because when he wins the challenges, now he's going to be able to intimidate opponents and drop more characters, so that when you go first, you're not too worried about what's going to come back at you in the second round of challenges, or likewise, when you're going second, you can pop in a big challenge, kneel the guy that you're worried about for challenges 2 or 3, and he's going to be collecting that renown. Not only that, but you can throw a seal of the hand on him and put in work that way to get his renown going up. So this, I think, is a card that's going to do very well moving forward with the Greyjoy fealty decks. It also gives you that option of now taking out the 6 Bail-In to potentially play the 7 Bail-In, if that's what you want to do. I feel like the 7 Bail-In is missing a lot right now. If Victarion was a loyal card, then I would consider playing the 7 Bail-In to help boost him and get, you know, +1 for the Intimidate or something. But at this time, I think that you're better off having these 2 big 6s in your deck in Bail-In and Victarion, who both have renown, who are both going to do big things for you, while keeping Euron in your back pocket. So a couple ideas that I've had moving forward are, you know, like playing a Greyjoy summer deck versus, instead of playing the Greyjoy winter. I know people say there's Alanis Greyjoy and now you can reduce the reserve by 2 and reduce their gold by 1, so they're going to be holding so many cards and then they got to drop so many. Yeah, it's well and good, but I would prefer to have that +1 gold to use on whatever I want versus having to rely on fealty. And yeah, you know, sometimes you're not going to get that +1 gold because you're going to have you're not going to be able to meet the agenda restrictions. And that's fine too. I just think that playing the Greyjoy summer style will help you when you're trying to pop off your Seastone chairs, help you when you're trying to pop off your put to the swords as well. So currently, I think that's where I'm headed, what I'm going to try to figure out. And I'm going to be saving my winter, my Kings of Winter, or whatever the hell the agenda's called, for a Night's Watch choke deck. So that's Victarion. And then 2 draft only cards. This one, 1.0 players will know. 2 costs, the Viper's Rage. After you lose a challenge by 5 or more strength as the defending player, each character controlled by the attacking player loses a military, an intrigue, and a power icon until the end of the phase. Freaking ridiculous card. I used to hate seeing this card in 1.0. Rob would do this crap all the time. It was so annoying. So I drafted it. I wanted to make use of it, but I couldn't find enough Martell cards. And then finally, for you Night's Watch players, this is another draft only card, but one that was very, very fun to use. Action: kneel the Night Fort to choose a defending Night's Watch character. Until the end of the challenge, that character gets +1 strength for each attacking character. So that one was also pretty cool. And then the last Night's Watch card that I unintentionally filed away with all my other draft cards, sorry, is this one here. Nope, that's not it. Give me a second, sorry guys. I'm trying to rifle through these as fast as I can. I must have put it with the contest stuff. Yeah, this card here. So this one is not draft only. This one we're actually going to see in competitive play. It's a 2 cost. It's called the Haunted Forest, and it's a Night's Watch card. This one is also unloyal, so keep that in mind. We might see some banners to the watch going on now. So while the Haunted Forest is standing, it contributes 1 strength to your side during any challenge in which you are the defending player. Force reaction: after you lose a challenge, kneel the Haunted Forest. I'm just gonna let that marinate for a little bit. Just let that marinate. Get those ideas brewing. This card is bonkers. Why is it bonkers? Because now when you've got Old Bear out and the Wall out, and you've got Old Bear with a Practice Blade and Old Bear's Raven, he's going to have a military icon, he's going to have an intrigue icon, he's going to have a power icon, he's going to have stealth. If for whatever reason they're able to, I don't know, blank Old Bear or do some nonsense that's going to take him out of that ability to just Voltron and stand for everything, now when you lose a challenge the first time, it's not going to be unopposed, so the wall's going to stand. Okay, so this affords Night's Watch the opportunity to get the wall to pop off early game when they don't have their full icon spread out yet. They're able to give up one challenge every turn where they know that regardless of if they defend or not, if they don't throw defenders in or not, it's going to be opposed with one. So when they're playing against Greyjoy, they're going to be like, yeah, whatever. I'm not going to throw any defenders in on this challenge. It's not going to be unopposed, so I don't need to worry about we do not sows. I don't need to be worried about Asha standing or Theon getting a power or the Great Kraken popping off or Seastone Chair or any of those damn things. So this card is like the Greyjoy killer for them. Not only that, but if it does kneel, then they can sacrifice one of their builders to stand it again, and then that's two challenges that they're now able to not have to throw any defenders in on. So I think that this card is going to be amazing for Night's Watch moving forward. Night's Watch has gotten a pretty good boost, not only in this pack that just came out, but now we know that this is going to be coming out very soon, the Haunted Forest, that's going to help them even more. And while we're on the topic of the Night's Watch, myself and Joe from Cincinnati, we are going to be doing a pack review of the latest pack, Call to Arms, because we were able to grab our copies of that while we were down at GenCon. So I know he's looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to that as well. And I think we might change the format of the pack review. I don't know that we're going to go over every card in the pack one by one and do it that way. We might focus on the Night's Watch aspect of the packs, the Greyjoy aspect of the packs, and then talk about the agendas, because I know that for some people it is pretty goddamn boring to have to sit there and go card by card card by card from a pack when a lot of the cards really don't appeal to them. So that's that. The last thing is the contest. So I noticed I'm still not at 2K viewers, and I'm trying to get, or sorry, subscribers, and we're trying to get to that 2K. So what I'm doing is I'm giving away a bunch of the stuff that I've had here sitting around for quite some time in a Rob St. John or Rob's Gaming Table-esque type of format. So I have here one of the Store Championship mats featuring Tyrell, we got Marjorie, and we've got some other people doing stuff. Okay, so that is the 2016 Store Championship mat. I won a bunch of them, I think 4. I already gave one away. Probably keep one for myself and then give this one away. So that's one thing that's being given away. For you Netrunner fans, I'm also giving away one of these community copies from GenCon, or the community whatever participation prize, something like that. They're giving away these, not alternate art, but full art Wall of Statics. So I did manage to get 2 of these because I made it to day 2. So that's also in the giveaway. Going back to Game of Thrones, we've got the community prize for Thrones, which was this full art, core art Jon Snow. It looks amazing. I don't know that many people are going to end up using this card, but rather than go buy one on eBay if you weren't able to make it to Gen Con, you can get one for free here just by entering this contest. And then lastly, going back to Netrunner, we've got a couple copies here of the alt art Chronos project. I don't even know how many of these, like 5 or something. More than anybody will ever use that plays Netrunner. But if you don't have one and you're interested in getting one, then all you have to do is at the bottom of this video, just drop a comment, just telling me what it is you're interested in. So you can leave a comment saying, you know, what's up Game of Thrones, or what's up Android Netrunner, and then I will pull names and post them in a week's time. Or what day is it today? Today's Monday. Yeah, in about a week's time, maybe a week and a half, depending on how many entries we get. And then I'll contact you, get your information, and get these shipped out to you. So again, that's a Chronos project here. We've got the Jon Snow here. We've got the Wall of Static here, and the Game of Thrones Store Championship mat. I'm also thinking about giving away the Spot Gloss Chaos Theory that I won, but we'll see about that. So that's it. Like I said, look forward to the video coming soon from myself and Joe from Cincinnati, where we break down the Call to Arms Game of Thrones pack, and I'll potentially find someone to do the Netrunner one with me as well, but we'll see. That being said, I did not get any footage of the tournaments from Gen Con because I was too busy playing in both tournaments. Didn't really have a chance to record either or because of the overlap. But I do still have some footage that I'm working on for the Game of Thrones regional in Michigan, I believe it was. One of those things. I don't know. We'll see. So again, thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And I will see y'all when I see you. Peace.